Hello and welcome to Dark and Stormy Book Club. Today we have two more wonderful Agatha nominees. We will talk to Nina Wachsmann and then we will talk to Martin Edwards. Enjoy!
I'm Ann Dart.
I'm Tracy Stormy.
And I'm Kathy Knight.
And together we are
It Was a Dark and Stormy Book Club,
a podcast for mystery lovers.
Welcome.
If you enjoy our show, please consider contributing to the Dark and Stormy Patreon. By becoming a patron, you will help us create better and quality content. There are also benefits to becoming a patron, such as exclusive content and Dark and Stormy merchandise. Become a supporter at patreon.com/darkandstormybc. Check our website for the link. We appreciate any and all contributions. Thank you.
We are pleased to welcome to the program Nina Wachsmann. She is nominated for an Agatha for a Best First Novel for her book, The Gallery of Beauties. Welcome, Nina.
Hi, it's great to be here. Thank you for having me.
That is a stunning cover.
Thank you. I made sure to get a picture of a real 17th century woman to make sure that even though my husband said, "Why are you using her? She's ugly."
Oh, I think she's beautiful.
I think she is too.
But I guess I said, well, she was a beauty in her time. So it's, I guess the visions of beauty are different from era to era.
Oh, yes, definitely. Definitely. What did you do when you found out you were nominated?
I was shocked. I was so happy when I got the email. It was hope against hope because I'd gone to the Mal's conferences. I know it's like I've seen the other nominees. So I was so excited because it's getting that recognition from your peers is really important, I think.
Absolutely. And who is the book publisher?
Level Best Book.
Okay.
And the other two nominees are also Level Best Books. Two of them. I don't know the other two. I know there are five. But two of them are actually friends of mine. So I'm very happy that they got nominated as well.
Can you tell us a little bit about your book?
My book takes place in 17th century Venice. It's triggered by an artist who's commissioned to paint the portraits of the most beautiful women in Venice. And it brings together all very unusual women from all walks of life in Venice. One of them is a notorious and famous courtesan, and the other one, who's the protagonist of the book, is the rabbi's scholarly daughter. So it's from two opposite ends of society, and they come together, and then one by one, the subjects of this portrait gallery are found poisoned. And so the courtesan and the rabbi's daughter partner together to try to unmask the murderer. And it takes place during a lot of the big events in Venice, such as Carnival, mask balls. I'm also connected to Venice because my great-great-great-grandfather passed was actually a rabbi in the Ghetto of Venice.
Oh, wow.
That's very cool.
Yeah. And I had read the autobiography of this rabbi, Leon de Modena, who's the character in the book. His daughter is the main character. And it was written in the 1620s. And still exists and it's translated. And he was kind of a Renaissance man. He was a poet. He was an author. He was an orator. He was a scholar. And he was a compulsive gambler. So that made him very interesting. I knew you would like that, Missy.
There's always something, right? There's always something. You just cannot be perfect. There has to be something there.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, obviously, so you have the connection with Venice. Are you a big historical reader? Did you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I love historical fiction. I'm a former art student. I went to Parsons School of Design, where I studied with Maurice Sendak.
I
loved him. He was a great guy.
See, I like hearing that. I don't like when somebody's like, "Oh, I study with so and so," and I'm like, "Oh," and they're like, "No, he's a jerk," and I'm like,
no,
don't ruin that."
No, so I have a lot of background in art, and one of the things that intrigued me And this is why Diana, my main character, consents to have her portrait painted, because it would be unusual for somebody from the ghetto who's, has to go keep behind the walls to go and get her portrait painted, is because there's some kind of a mystical connection that she believes happens when somebody paints a portrait. And she thinks there may be a transference of the souls, like written up in Kabbalah. So that's why she wants to experience it for herself. So it's an intellectual curiosity. And also because Jews weren't allowed to be artists. They could illustrate manuscripts within the ghetto, be scribes. But in order to be an artist, you had to be in a guild, and you had to be an apprentice, or you had to go to an academy. And Jews weren't allowed to go to guilds, and they weren't allowed to join academies. So it was a very mysterious profession to her. And that's what I wanted to get. That's why she's intrigued to be painted by this artist.
That's
Now,
fascinating.
Have you been to Venice?
Oh, I'm there all the time. The World's Fair of Art, which is the Venice Biennale, takes place every 2 years in Venice, where they showcase all the new up-and-coming artists. And each country gets a pavilion and they nominate their artists. So I go every 2 years to the Venice Biennale to see who's up and what's up.
How cool is that?
Yeah.
Also talking about the painting and the soul transference. I love history. Don't ask me when the word purse came in or when scissors started being used. I have no idea. But I know that when photography first started,
Right.
people were terrified of getting their pictures taken. And living in Pennsylvania, we're in Amish country.
Right.
And you're still not allowed to photograph people face on. You have to ask, and 9 times out of 10, they're going to say no. Like, you're more than welcome to take a picture of the horse and buggy. You can take a picture of them leaving, but face to face, absolutely not. Because there's something that gets transferred out of them into the photograph. So that's fascinating. Will this be the beginning of a series, or?
Yes.
Ooh.
The next book is coming out August 1st. So this story is told, there's this unique relationship that the courtesan and the rabbi's daughter have together. And they're amid a lot of intrigues and powerful men, and that's as intricate and twisted as Venice itself, as the pathways in Venice itself. So the first book is about Diana trying to get out of the ghetto and experiencing the world, yet not leaving her family and her traditions. The second book is focused on the courtesan as the main character, whose name is Belladonna. And it reveals how because nobody knows her real name. She goes under the name Belladonna. So who is she? Where did she come from? And actually, people are after her. So she has to hide, and she hides in the ghetto. So now I have it from her point of view, going into the ghetto and seeing these strange customs and people. And she has to play along, because otherwise they'll know where she is. So
And more dead people.
Right, of course.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to make sure, because that's
a really cool dead person scene in the second book. That, for you definitely appreciate.
You have a title for the second book.
The second book is called The Courtesan's Secret.
Oh, I love it. Same kind of cover?
Yeah, I'm looking right now for a good 16th century, 17th century photo.
I think you've really got something, because this will keep the historical people coming back. But I think you've got enough that the romantic part of Venice and things will get just people who are not looking for a mystery to look into this. So I really am intrigued. I haven't had a chance to read it, but it's on my list.
Okay.
Your TBR.
Yes.
TV red pile.
Well, the second book is focusing more on the romance between this courtesan and actually Diana's brother, who's revealed in the book. My main character, Diana, is the rabbi's daughter. Her brother is a pirate, is a corsair. And so
you got it all in there.
I was just going to say, where is the kitchen sink? Is it on the left? But I think it's really cool to do that, because as Tracy was saying, it's hard when you're only appealing to one set of people.
Right.
And so you're going to have your history buffs who love that kind of stuff. You're going to have your intrigue people who are going to love that kind of stuff. You'll have your romance people who are like, ooh, I could take a dead body or two, depending on how we handle this. And so, having a wider audience gives you a better opportunity to touch more readers. And that's very exciting.
Yeah. And actually, the idea for the Gallery of Beauties came up, which I'm thinking, I just wrote an article about it. I'm going to send it out to the travel magazines. It was because I went to Munich on a trip, and I went to Nymphenburg Palace, which is the palace of Mad King Ludwig. And one of the things he did, lo and behold, is he has this gallery called the Gallery of Beauties in the palace, where he commissioned the court painter to paint the portraits of the most beautiful women in Munich. And there's about 36 portraits that still exist. And one of the famous ones, I don't know if you've heard of Lola Montez. Did you ever hear about her?
I've heard the name, but I can't.
have too.
She was an Irish woman who pretended to be a Spanish woman and did basically kind of like lascivious dancing and entranced Ludwig I, so he gave her his crown jewels. That's why he was called Mad King Ludwig.
Okay.
And then she tried to escape with the jewels, but they were about to overthrow him, and they captured her and they brought back the jewels and then kicked her out of Bavaria.
They're like,
her portrait is in the Gallery of Beauties in Munich.
Oh.
So it's really cool.
That's fascinating.
So when I heard that, I thought, oh, wow, Venice was known for its beautiful women. Like, people came to Venice on their grand tour to see the beauties of Venice. So I thought that's the perfect place. Somebody's going to Venice to collect the portraits of beautiful women, because that's his souvenir. Like, instead of those snow globes, he's collecting the portraits of beautiful women.
I don't think those fit in suitcases quite the same way.
Well,
You never know. Do you have an idea where the pot would go? The teapot would go when it comes home with you?
Yeah, I did. I have to confess that I also am a member of the Short Mystery Fiction Society. I don't know if you're part of that.
I'm
So
not, but I know of it.
One time somebody posted, how does your family react to your writing? Right? I don't know about you, but when I get these kind of awards and everything, my family are like, oh, mom's being weird again.
So, I mean, at least they pay attention and they know
Right.
that you're weird, and that's awesome, and they love you anyway, or
Right.
because of it.
Right. Yeah. And my grandkids, though, think it's really cool. So it skips
You
a
are
generation.
not old enough to have grandchildren.
Yes, I have 8 grandchildren.
Never have guessed that.
You have good genes.
Right.
well, once again, we wish you all the luck with the award.
Thanks.
We will be there at the award ceremony.
Oh, good. So I'll see you in Malice. That'll be great.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
you live right near there, so
Yes,
that's easy for you.
yes, it's a
That's
hop,
great.
skip, and a jump.
Okay. Well, it was so great meeting you and talking to you guys.
Yes.
And Misty, I'm waiting for your next books to come out. So
Okay.
I love that series.
So is everybody else. I'm waiting. I'm waiting for me to write it.
Busy podcasting.
I am ready, and I am going on a retreat tomorrow. I'll
Oh,
be gone for 4 days. So the only thing that I'm doing is writing during those 4 days.
So
That's
I
what I
hope
promised
so.
myself.
Good.
Yeah.
It was
Well,
great
good
meeting
luck.
you. Thank you. Nice meeting you guys. Take
Nina,
care.
it was great talking to you. Enjoy the
Bye-bye.
rest of your evening. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Our next guest is Martin Edwards. We would like to welcome to the program Martin Edwards. He is nominated for an Agatha for the Life of Crime, Detecting the History of Mysteries and Their Creators. Welcome, Martin.
Thanks very much for having me. Nice to speak to you.
You just told us off air that you've been to Malice before. What did you do when you found out you were nominated?
Well, it's always a great thrill to be nominated for any award. I think that no matter how often it happens in one's career, you never lose that excitement. And so, of course, I was delighted. I've been lucky enough to be nominated a couple of times in the past for Agathas, successful ones, nominated the other occasion. And each of these experiences has been great privilege.
Now, was the other one nonfiction also?
The other two, there was a book called The Golden Age of Murder, which won the award. And there was a book called How Done It, which didn't, but which was in the mix, so to speak. Actually, I forget. There's a third one, I think, Story of Classic Crime and 100 Books.
Wow.
Oh, these sound fascinating. What is your background that gives you the privilege of writing these wonderful books?
Well, my background really is that I've had a lifelong fascination with crime fiction. And I discovered Agatha Christie when I was 8 years old. And from that moment on, I had two ambitions. Firstly, to write my own detective stories, and secondly, to read as many as I could lay my hands on. And in the intervening decades, I've tried to do just that. And so now I've published 21 novels, and I've read more books than I could possibly count. And so that love of detective fiction that I had very early on still burns very, very brightly indeed.
Good. Now, I know you have a history of a lot of detective or crime fiction. Are you focusing more on the nonfiction now, or are you still writing your mystery series?
Oh, very much so. I brought out a novel in the States last year called The Girl They All Forgot, which is the American title of a book in my Lake District mystery series called In England, The Crooked Shore. That's the 8th book in that series. And this year in the States, the 3rd book in my Rachel Savanake series, set in the Golden Age, the early 1930s, will be published. In the States, it's called The Puzzle of Blackstone Lodge. In Britain, when it came out last year, it was called Blackstone Fell. So again, the title is different. And shortly in this country, in England, I'll be publishing the 4th book in that series, which is called Sepulchre Street. So I'm certainly very, very committed to...
I would say so. Woo, you make me feel lazy. So what are you working on currently right now?
I'm working on another novel, which is a bit of an experiment. It's not in the other series. It's just an attempt to do something different, which is what I always like to do, try to do anyway. It's a way of keeping myself fresh. So I like to alternate not just between fiction and non-fiction, but also between different types of crime fiction, and also between writing novels and writing short stories. I love writing short stories, and I've written dozens of them. And so I write a short story every now and then as well.
You have a passion for it, obviously. Well, Martin, we look so forward to meeting you at Malice. We will also be there. It's right in our backyard, actually, almost. So we don't have nearly as far to travel as you do.
No.
But definitely come up and say hi when we're there.
Yeah, well, looking forward to the trip.
Well, thank you for talking with us. Well, thanks for talking with us, Martin, and we wish you all the best.
Thanks very much indeed. See you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Well, our list of Agatha nominees continues to grow. We have one more program with 3 nominees in it next week, so be sure and listen then. We wish Martin and Nina good luck with their nomination and their writing. We thank them for taking time to talk with us. Trivia. Last week's question was, author Harlan Coben made a deal with whom in 2018 to adapt 14 of his novels into film? A. Fox Entertainment, B. Paramount, C. Blue Sky Productions, or D. Netflix? The answer is D. Netflix. In August 2018, Coben signed a multi-million-dollar 5-year deal with American company Netflix. Under the deal, 14 of Coben's novels would be developed into original Netflix series or films, with him serving as an executive producer on all projects. The first title released under the deal was The Stranger, based on his novel of the same name, which premiered in January 2020. In October 2022, it was announced that Netflix had re-upped the deal for another 4 years with the Myron Bolitar series, now also available for adaptation. This week's question is, which author used the following pseudonym in their career? Deanna Dwyer, K.R. Dwyer, Aaron Wolfe, David Axton, Brian Coffey, John Hill, Lee Nichols, Owen West, Richard Page, and Anthony North. A. Dean Koontz, B. James Patterson, C. John LeCaire, or D. Michael Connolly? Tune in next week for the answer. Well, that wraps up another episode, and we hope you enjoyed it. We hope you liked listening to the nominees for Agatha Awards. We only have one more program, and then Malice Domestic we're running out of time. It's coming soon. Join us next week for that episode, and we look forward to seeing you then. And remember,
Life would be boring without a little mystery. Bye.